I'm gonna be making buffalo style crab dip from scratch. It's gonna have cream cheese, all the cheese I want. Ooh, ooh. It'll be like, sorry, I'm a little heavy-handed with the sauce. Ooh. I think I need a moment. Today we're making buffalo style crab dip with pretzel bites from scratch. So a crab dip, it's ooey gooey, it's filled with crab meat, cheese, you have all the Maryland seafood seasoning, hot sauce sometimes if you like it, and it's just a perfect dip. I'm from Maryland, so crab dip, it's year-round. If you've never had crab dip before, it's very, very, very similar to buffalo chicken dip, so we're kind of doing the same thing, we're just swapping meats. This is a store-bought buffalo chicken dip, and these are store-bought pretzels. This is really easy to find in stores, which is perfect, especially when you're throwing parties and you don't really have that time, you can go and buy it. Oh. Hold on. Sorry. You see these chunks of meat? We have meat. You can see the creaminess of all the cream cheese. And then there's also chives in here too, which is what I love. That's one of my favorite things. I feel like people don't really add chives. Yes. Tastes good. It's super rich, super creamy. It has all those chunks of meat. It has all that flavor, and then it also has that little spice from the buffalo flavor as well. But I really just want to bring it home. I wanted to bring it to Maryland. I just want to add crab meat to it. That's all I want to do, and this is what I want for a sports day. This, but with crab meat. Thanks for the inspo, but I'm gonna be making the buffalo style crab dip from scratch. It's gonna have fresh crab meat, cream cheese, Gruyere, cheddar cheese, and for the sauce, I'm not just gonna be using any type of sauce. I'm using the new Tabasco buffalo style sauce. It's gonna stand out, but it's gonna mix really well with the crab, the cheese, all the flavors are gonna come together, and it's just gonna be mwah. One of my favorite things about crab dip and what really makes it like a crab dip is that seafood seasoning. It just adds that extra, spice to it. But I'm gonna make that from scratch just so I can customize everything. It's all gonna be personalized for me. And for the dipping vehicle, I'm gonna be making the pretzel bites from scratch. We were using these pretzels and they just kept breaking off. Sorry. I don't like that when I'm trying to eat a dip. I just want a vehicle that really holds up all the dip. And also when we bite into it, it's nice and doughy and soft and fluffy on the inside. The saltiness, because I love salt, and everything's gonna stay on it. Okay, now let's make some crab dip. Before we start in the dip, we have to make the dough for the pretzels because she has to rest, she has to take a little nap, get her rest in, so we're gonna start on the dough. This is a super easy dough. Even if you haven't made dough before, this is a perfect one for beginners. First, we have to activate the yeast because the yeast is what makes it nice and doughy and rise and fluffy, so that's an important step. You can't skip it. This is warm water, about 110 degrees. You need warm water to activate the yeast. We're gonna use brown sugar next. I'm using brown sugar because it kind of gives that molasses flavor that you get from the pretzels. I'm gonna give everything a little mix. All it has to do is just activate. It takes about 5 minutes. What I'm looking for when it's done is a nice foam on top. The yeast is foamy, so it's all ready, and now we can start on our dough. We're using bread flour because it's gonna make it nice and chewy. You can use all-purpose, but you're not really gonna get that chewiness of it. You're not gonna get that pretzel. Next, I'm gonna add my salt, unsalted melted butter. Oh, shoot. I always do this, sorry. If you see any leftover flour, just put it back in. Now all we have to do is just mix everything together. I'm gonna start on low because if I start on high, then all this flour is gonna go everywhere. I've done it so many times. And I have a 25-year-old kitchen mixer, so even if I go on one, it goes. This has come together enough, so I'm gonna do the rest by hand. I'm just gonna knead the dough so everything comes together. It's still not there, you can see all these little lines and stuff, so I want it to come together a little bit more. Okay, she's done. I'm done kneading it, so I'm gonna put it back in the bowl. I'm gonna cover it, I'm gonna let it rest till it's doubled in size. She's gonna get a little nap. And then after that, we can make our pretzel bites. Okay, it's been a few hours, so now we're gonna check our dough baby. The dough baby has doubled in size, so that's exactly what we want. So my favorite part, getting the air out of the dough.
Will you just put that towel on my
Okay. All right. So you can see it's very soft. That's what happens when it's rested. So now I'm gonna cut it into 6 equal pieces. I'm gonna form it before I cut it into bites. I'm gonna press it down like this. The reason why I'm forming it, because I just want even pieces. I mean, you can just go ahead, cut it, but I don't want one guest to have this big of a piece and the other guest to have this piece. I don't want any fights. We're doing even. And now we're just gonna roll it into a rope. Okay. Like this. Now I'm just gonna cut bite-sized pieces, little pillows. You're gonna do this with all the divided pieces you have. I have a pot of boiling water, and I'm gonna add some baking soda to it because the baking soda, that's what makes it that pretzel-y texture, you know, where it's like nice crust on the outside, but nice and light and fluffy on the inside. Ooh. So the next step, we're gonna be boiling the bites into the baking soda water. About 5 to 10 seconds, nothing long, just gonna put them in there, take them out. If you don't feel like making your dough from scratch, you can go to the store and buy like store-bought pizza dough and do the same thing and still get like that like pretzel-y-ish texture. I just put my whole fingertips in the water. Did y'all see that? That hurt. And this is the same like process as bagels. You do the same thing with the baking soda water and then you put them in the oven. This part to me is really fun. It's like science, and I think that's why I really like cooking and stuff. It's very hands-on, and at the end of the experiment, it's kind of like a reward. Like, ooh, like what is this? Except you get to eat food and not science experiments. So now all I'm gonna do is just add some egg wash, salt, and then throw them in the oven. Ooh, was that cool looking? The egg wash is gonna add that like nice brown color to the pretzels. Now we're moving on to art class instead of science. So now all we're gonna do, we're gonna put them in the oven at 450 degrees for about 10 minutes. So we're gonna start on making our own seafood seasoning because what every good crab dip has is that seafood seasoning, and that seafood seasoning really adds like that extra like oomph of flavor. But that's what really makes it unique and different and kind of unexplainable when you try it. There's savory spices, warm spices, and like mixed together, that's what makes it go so well with seafood, or if you're me, on everything. I'm gonna start with salt. Salt's like the main base. Celery seeds, smoked paprika, ground mustard, ground ginger. You wouldn't think ginger is in seafood seasoning, but it is. But you also wouldn't think half of this is in seafood seasoning, but it is. Cayenne, nutmeg, only a little bit. It's just like to add like a little accent of it. Next is allspice. Now these are kind of just like the hints. We're just adding hints of it. Ground cloves, cardamom. Sounds like something you would use like in a video game, like throwing it, like cardamom. Cinnamon, freshly cracked black pepper. Last but not least, bay leaves. Okay, now she looks so pretty, like a rainbow of seasonings. I'm gonna taste a little bit because I wanna make sure this is exactly what I want in my crab dip. It's really salty. This is exactly what I wanted. I don't have to add anything else. Done, we're gonna get to the crab dip. I have all my crab dip essentials here, which are ingredients, but this is all essential stuff for crab dip. We have some fresh crab meat here. This is what we like to see. And the way we're gonna add that buffalo flavor, you know, like buffalo it up, we're gonna be using Tabasco buffalo style sauce. This goes good on anything. This is gonna add that nice little buffalo flavor, but also it's gonna add that little bit of heat that we want in that crab dip. Okay, now let's start making this crab dip, mixing everything together. I'm gonna start with my cheeses first. For this dip, I'm gonna be using Gruyere and cheddar just because I think that Gruyere adds a little bit of fanciness to it, you know? And then cheddar, it goes good with any dip. Okay, I'm gonna start shredding. No pre-shredded, you want to shred your own. I have to make sure the cheese isn't poison. I like it cheesy, so I'm using all of this cheese. Getting the big, ooh, she's heavy. Big mixing bowl out. We're gonna start mixing. So I have some cream cheese here, softened. You want softened. It will make it a lot easier for you. You're gonna hurt your arm if it's hardened. I'm gonna add some of my sour cream, a little bit of mayonnaise, whole grain mustard. This is kind of like my weird little secret ingredient. It adds that extra zesty flavor. Our fresh crab meat. If you don't wanna use crab meat, you can use other proteins. You can use shrimp, whatever, lobster. Fancy. You can use whatever you want. I'm just gonna give it a little mix before I add everything else. I just want all of this to kind of like incorporate. For me personally, it has to be fresh crab meat, but if you can't find fresh crab meat, that's okay, you can use frozen, but they might not let me back into Maryland if I use frozen, so we have to use fresh. So now that this is all mixed up, I'm gonna start adding everything else. Some fresh lemon juice. You need lemon juice when it comes to anything seafood. It just makes stuff taste better. Next, I'm gonna add the seafood seasoning that I made. The seafood seasoning from scratch, so it's gonna taste extra personal. Just when you thought we were done with the seasonings, we're adding more. I'm gonna add some onion powder, little bit of chili powder, and garlic powder. I like garlic, so I'm adding lots of it. Now it's time to add the Tabasco buffalo style sauce. It has that classic Tabasco flavor that I know, but it adds like that buffalo flavor to it. It's nice and tangy, garlicky, has that heat to it. It's gonna go perfect with our dip. I'm definitely getting that like buffalo-y smell to it, which is what I wanted. I wanted to combine buffalo chicken dip and crab dip, make it a beautiful baby. Next, I'm gonna add my chives. I love chives in any dip. It's my favorite. So, last step, we're gonna add our cheese. Adding about half of the cheese into the dip. I'm gonna fold in the cheese. Sexy. All I'm doing is just putting the crab dip into our dish. Now I'm just gonna smoothen it all out just so I can evenly layer this cheese. This color, I'm loving the color because the color is giving a buffalo chicken dip, but I know there's crab meat in here. Oh, I'm just so excited. Now we're gonna add the cheese on top. Never enough cheese, I love cheese. Okay, so now all it has to do is bake. We're in the red zone right now. So we're gonna put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'm looking for that cheese to be melted, bubbling, ooey gooey. I can't wait for this dip to meet the pretzel bites. The crab dip is done. I'm excited. We get to eat this beautiful buffalo crab dip alongside these little pretzel bites from scratch. They look beautiful, golden brown. They're fluffy on the inside, I could just feel, but just by squeezing it. Okay, now let's plate this up. I'm gonna have the pretzel bites all around it so everyone can just grab their pretzel bites. Now I'm just gonna finish it off with some Tabasco buffalo style sauce and some chives. Okay, now let's eat it. First, I'm gonna tear into this pretzel bite because I just wanna see the inside of it. Beautiful. I see nice fluffy, like look at all this fluffiness. That's what I see. I think I'm gonna go for the middle. I like going for the middle for all my stuff, for my mac and cheese, my dips. I'm going to the middle. That's good. This dip is giving me like very creamy, cheesy, flavorful, everything that I wanted. Everything that we put into this dip is really coming through. I'm really getting that Gruyere, that cheddar cheese, that seafood seasoning, that homemade seafood seasoning that we use. A little bit of those whole grain mustard seeds. And they're very subtle, but they add that extra oomph to it. That fresh crab meat, it's really adding that wow factor. The Tabasco buffalo style sauce really adds that extra like next level. It's like coming through, but it mixes so well with the rest of the ingredients. It's really good. I give the pretzel bites a 9 out of 10. They taste good, they're amazing. I just love the dip, so I would like more of the pretzel so I can get more of the dip. I give this buffalo style crab dip a 10 out of 10. Everything about it, the cheesy, the creaminess, the richness, the little bit of spice, perfect. Everything is 100% worth it and perfect for game day. This is From Scratch with Tini. I'm Tini, love y'all. If you like this video and you want to see more recipes like this, subscribe to Bite for more.